In 2013, China launched one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects in modern history, the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. With an estimated $1 trillion in investments, this sprawling network aims to link Asia, Europe, and Africa through ports, highways, railways, and digital infrastructure, positioning China at the heart of a new global trade network. As of 2024, the BRI spans over 140 countries, encompassing 2/3 of the world's population. Yet, as this project reshapes economies and societies across continents, questions arise about its true intentions. Is the BRI a pathway to shared global prosperity, or does it risk establishing a new financial and geopolitical order dominated by China? With the recent re-election of Donald Trump as President of the United States, the stakes have been raised even further. During his first term, Trump adopted a strong stance against China's growing influence, especially through initiatives like the BRI, viewing it as a direct challenge to US economic interests. Now, Trump's administration is likely to reinvigorate opposition to the BRI, creating a complex landscape for countries navigating the dual pulls of American and Chinese influence. Let's explore the BRI's transformative impact on global finance, economics, and geopolitics, and examine the potential implications of renewed US opposition. The BRI's scale is unprecedented in modern infrastructure projects. China has invested heavily in ports, highways, railways, and power plants, turning critical locations across Asia, Africa, and Europe into hubs of connectivity that link back to China. The Gwadar port in Pakistan, the Mombasa-Nairobi railway in Kenya, and the Hambantota port in Sri Lanka are all prominent examples. The BRI aims to integrate global markets with China, enabling Beijing to enhance its influence in key regions. Recently, however, China has shifted its BRI strategy to address environmental and geopolitical criticisms. Recognizing the global focus on sustainability, China has started emphasizing smaller, greener projects within the BRI framework. One example is the Nairobi Expressway, which has earned awards for its green infrastructure and mobility solutions. This move allows China to align with global climate goals, potentially broadening the appeal of BRI to countries interested in sustainable growth. Yet, China's underlying ambition remains clear: build lasting economic dependencies and leverage these investments to advance its geopolitical interests. With President Trump back in office, China's influence through the BRI will face renewed scrutiny. During his previous term, Trump's administration countered China's initiatives by imposing tariffs and promoting alternative trade and investment partnerships, particularly through the free and open Indo-Pacific strategy. With Trump's return, experts expect similar tactics to limit China's expansion, including offering US-backed infrastructure projects as alternatives to BRI investments. This competition signals the beginning of a new, more polarized era in global finance and infrastructure development. The Belt and Road Initiative's allure lies in its ability to provide much-needed infrastructure financing to countries often excluded from traditional Western-backed financial institutions. Nations like Kenya, Ethiopia, and Pakistan have reaped the economic benefits of Chinese-funded railways, ports, and energy plants, which have created jobs, stimulated trade, and enhanced regional connectivity. For instance, the China-Laos Railway, inaugurated in 2021, significantly reduced travel times, boosting trade and tourism across the region. This railway now stands as a symbol of what BRI financing can achieve in underdeveloped areas. However, this development comes with significant financial risks. Unlike loans from the IMF or World Bank, which often require substantial economic reforms, China's BRI loans tend to come with fewer strings attached, making them attractive but potentially riskier. According to a report by the Rhodium Group, roughly 60% of China's overseas loans go to high-risk countries already struggling with debt. Pakistan's debt to China stands at an estimated $27 billion, and Sri Lanka's debt obligations forced it to lease the Hambantota port to a Chinese firm for 99 years to alleviate repayment pressures. These cases have fueled criticisms of debt trap diplomacy, suggesting that China's real goal is to use financial dependency as a way to secure strategic leverage over economically vulnerable countries. The BRI is also challenging the global currency status quo by promoting the use of the Chinese yuan in international transactions. To reduce dependency on the US dollar, China encourages BRI countries to conduct trade and repay loans in yuan. The Bank of China reported a 30% increase in yuan-based transactions related to BRI projects in 2023, suggesting a growing trend toward the yuan as a viable alternative currency. For BRI countries already financially tied to China, settling debts in yuan could streamline transactions, but also exposes them to risks tied to fluctuations in the Chinese economy. This currency shift is seen by some as a calculated move by Beijing to expand the yuan's role in global finance, potentially challenging the dominance of the US dollar. The re-election of Donald Trump brings further challenges to China's financial ambitions. Trump's administration is likely to counter the growing use of the yuan by promoting dollar-based trade agreements in regions heavily invested in BRI projects. Furthermore, the US may emphasize the financial risks associated with BRI, presenting US-backed infrastructure projects as more sustainable and economically sound options. For emerging economies, this renewed rivalry between the US and China could offer an opportunity to negotiate better terms and gain diversified financial support, potentially reducing the risk of excessive dependency on any single superpower. The geopolitical implications of the BRI extend beyond economic influence. By financing infrastructure in strategic regions, China is effectively building alliances with countries that may align with its stances on key global issues. Nations benefiting from BRI projects, particularly in Africa, Asia, and even Europe, have increasingly shown support for China's positions in international forums such as the United Nations. Africa, where China has invested over $100 billion in BRI projects, exemplifies this alignment. Countries in the region that are heavily invested in BRI projects frequently back China's positions on trade policies, human rights issues, and development goals, creating a coalition that echoes China's priorities. In Europe, China's influence is especially visible in countries like Serbia and Hungary, where President Xi Jinping's recent visit underscored China's growing relationships within the continent. These nations have embraced BRI investments, allowing China to establish footholds in Europe, a region traditionally aligned with the US and EU policies. Trump's administration is expected to react strongly, particularly as these alliances grow, potentially leading to renewed pressures on European nations to limit their engagements with China in favor of Western partnerships. The competition for influence in these regions marks a shift toward a more divided global political and economic environment, where countries may have to carefully navigate between the competing priorities of the US and China. As the Belt and Road Initiative advances into its next decade, it faces an increasingly polarized world. China's ambitious project has redefined global trade routes and introduced an alternative model of development financing, but the path forward is not without challenges. With Donald Trump back in the White House, the US is poised to counterbalance China's influence in emerging markets, framing the BRI as a potential trap rather than a developmental lifeline. For countries involved, the renewed rivalry between these superpowers presents both risks and opportunities. Will the BRI deliver on its promise of shared prosperity, or will it become an arena of geopolitical competition? In an interconnected world where economic dependencies and political alignments are constantly shifting, the BRI's legacy will likely depend on how China and its partner countries adapt to these changes. The coming years will reveal whether the Belt and Road Initiative remains a driver of global growth and cooperation, or whether it signals the emergence of a more divided and strategically cautious world order.